Have you ever thought about the idea that our entire universe might be governed by a single mysterious number? A number that just is. One that dictates how stars shine, how molecules form, basically how reality itself is held together. Well, for the better part of a century, one of the deepest puzzles in all of physics has been exactly that, a single magic number. The one and only Richard Feynman put it perfectly. He's talking about a number we call the fine structure constant, or alpha. It's a number that tells us just how strong the connection is between light and matter. It sets the rules for electromagnetism, the force that pretty much runs our world. But here's the kicker. Why does it have the specific value that it does? For 100 years, we could measure it with incredible precision, but we had no idea why it was that number. It was a given, not an answer. And there it is, roughly 1 over 137. What's so wild about it is that it's a pure number. It has no units, it's the same everywhere, for everyone, no matter how you measure it. And get this, if that number were just a tiny bit different, say 1 over 136 or 1 over 138, our universe would be unrecognizable. Stars wouldn't work. Carbon, the basis of life, couldn't form. We wouldn't be here. Its value seems to be on a razor's edge. It's been a profound cosmic mystery. Or maybe it was. So how on earth do you even begin to solve a mystery like that? Well, a brand new paper introduces a pretty radical idea. It's called relator theory. And it doesn't just try to find a formula for alpha. It proposes a whole new picture of reality itself to explain why alpha has to be the number it is. Okay, so the core idea here is that our three-dimensional world, the one we walk around in, isn't the whole story. The theory says there's another, more fundamental space that's generating everything we see. The paper calls it C-space, like an engine room or a blueprint level of reality. And our world, which they call our three-space, is just the projection, the result of what's happening in that deeper space. And the two are fundamentally locked together. And this is that lock. This is the one equation at the heart of the whole theory. It's called the Relator Lock. It says R times omega equals C. What that means is that a property of that hidden C space, its effective size, R, multiplied by its rate of change, omega, is permanently fixed to a constant in our world, C, the speed of light. It's the bridge that connects the hidden engine to the reality we perceive. To make this a little more concrete, let's use an analogy. Think of a film projector. That hidden C space is like the reel of film itself. It holds all the intricate details, all the information. Our 3D reality is the image you see up on the screen. And that relator lock, the R omega equals C, well, that's the mechanism that makes sure the film is running at exactly the right speed, perfectly synced with the projector's light, so you get a clear, stable picture instead of a blurry mess. Now, this is where it gets really mind-bending. The theory makes an absolutely huge claim. It says that if this two-space model of reality is correct, you can calculate the exact value of alpha using nothing but the geometry of these two spaces. You don't need to measure an electron's charge or plug in any other experimental numbers. It all just falls out of the pure geometry of the model. So how do they actually pull this off? You can think of it as a four-step recipe. First, they model the electron not as a tiny dot, but as a specific geometric structure inside that hidden C space. Then they figure out what kind of forces that structure would project out into our 3D world. Step 3 is the key insight. They propose that for a particle like an electron to be stable, those forces have to be in a state of perfect geometric balance. And finally, they just solve the math to find the one and only one value for alpha where that perfect balance happens. And the result? Well, just look at this. The number on the bottom is the official value from CODATA, which is the most precise measurement we've ever made in a lab. The number on top is what relativity theory predicts, using just its geometry. The match is absolutely staggering. It agrees to sub-parts per trillion. It nails every single digit that our best experiments are certain of. Okay, wow. But whenever you see a result that good, one that seems to solve a century-old problem, you have to take a deep breath and be skeptical. It's so important that we separate what this paper has actually demonstrated from what it's merely suggesting might be possible down the road. We need to look at the proof versus the promise. So let's be crystal clear. On one side, we have what's been demonstrated. A specific mathematical model built on a few core ideas can spit out the value of alpha with jaw-dropping precision. That's a solid, heavyweight achievement. On the other side, we have the conjecture, the future promise. The theory suggests this same framework could explain other big mysteries, like why the electron, muon, and tau particles have the masses they do. That's a fascinating idea, but for now, it's still just an idea. It hasn't been proven yet.
So what is this entire calculation built on? It all rests on a couple of really big what-ifs, some key assumptions. First, you have to buy into the whole two-space idea and that R omega equals C lock being real. And second, it depends on a very specific geometric picture of the electron in that hidden space, that its mass is smeared out in a particular way and its charge is located in a thin ring. If either of those foundational assumptions is wrong, the whole calculation falls apart.
So you can see this isn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. What this paper really does is open the door to a whole new line of inquiry, and it forces us to ask some really profound new questions. And the first question is the most obvious one. Is this real? Is there actually a hidden C space that's generating our reality? Or is this just an incredibly clever, powerful mathematical model that happens to land on the right answer without actually describing what's physically happening? That's the huge question. The next big test is simple. Can it do it again? You know, a theory that explains one thing is interesting, but a theory that explains many things is powerful. Can this Relator's theory framework be used to derive other fundamental constants? Can it actually predict the particle masses? Its ability to make new, testable predictions is really the ultimate hurdle it has to clear. And finally, here's a thought to leave you with. Scientists are always trying to measure alpha even more precisely. What happens if the next big experiment finds a value that disagrees with this theory, way out at say, the 12th decimal place? That wouldn't be a failure. In fact, that would be incredibly exciting, because it would mean there's even more new physics hiding in that tiny little gap. And that's exactly what science is all about.